So this video is about a phase in Advait Vedanta where you feel like you are messed up, or uh, in between phase where you don't really know where to go to. So when I was suffering due to my own health issues, due to my own mental issues, or particularly to say my overdriven thoughts, and where I was feeling lost. Somehow I meditated, and the whole journey was such that I landed up into Advaita. And when I landed up into Advaita, I found some solace. I got into some state that got me relief. But eventually, what happened is I got into a phase where I felt detachment towards whatever was happening, which was in a way very good to me because I felt a certain sense of calmness and peace. On the other hand, it was a phase of isolation and detachment and sadness and boredom and depression because whatever I was experiencing or whatever I was going through, there was no one I could talk to because no one would understand what I would really mean by what I realized and what it meant to me and how it has changed my life and perspective. So, normally, you would find that your friends and family would not relate to what you are saying, or rather, what worse is, you wouldn't even find anyone who you would talk to about such things. So this thing happens especially if you are into Advaita Vedanta, where Adi Shankaracharya and Upanishads and every other book on the lines of Advaita Vedanta talks about detachment to the senses and to the world. And what happens is you kind of want to stay in that state of witness where you have a certain kind of aversion to the world, where you don't like what is happening in the world, so you are detached from it, but at the same time you don't like what is happening. Like, for example, what people are doing, how they are doing, what they are doing, it just doesn't make any more sense to you because you have realized the self, you understand everything is the self, and there is no purpose to life. So you don't really understand what are people fighting for, what they are thriving for in life, what they are running after, what is the purpose of life when everyone is going to die someday, and it just doesn't make sense to you what everyone and anything around you is doing or happening. So this stage, I think, is very confusing and very scary. It was the same for me, where I felt isolated. At the same time, I was detached and I was quiet and peaceful, but I still didn't understand what I was going through and who should I reach out to even tell what I was experiencing, or what other perspective of life I had just experienced. So, in this stage, I think it is very important that you bring in this new perspective that the world itself is the self. So it's just the halfway realization where the witness is and the world is just the witnessed, and it doesn't impact the self. But in that, it is still a duality. The witness is, and there is something that is witnessed that we call the world, and normally say detached, detached, detached to the world. Yes, in the initial phases, that is very much required, but in the sense the world itself is the self, you don't really need that detachment, because what are you trying to running away from? What are you trying to run away from? The self itself is the world, and the world, if it is self, it is all pure and sacred. Whatever is happening in the world, no matter how it is just self experiencing itself, expressing itself in various forms, and there is nothing wrong in how the world is operating per se. From the relative point of view, yes, there are many things that can be improved, and that can be said about that what needs to be changed, what need not be changed, that in relative level should always be worked upon. But from the higher perspective. There is nothing wrong with the world, there is nothing wrong with anyone, no matter if they are even enjoying the money, enjoying the world, enjoying the senses. There is absolutely nothing wrong with them. So this perspective has to kick in, and especially I found Kashmir Shaivism gave me that solace, because in Kashmir Shaivism they say never to negate the world, because the world itself is Shiva. So Shakti, when they call the Shakti path, means the path of the energy or the path of Tantra, they say the world itself is Shiva. So only the Shakti can take you to Shiva. The energy can take you to Shiva. What is the energy? World itself is the energy. That energy itself is Shiva. So there is no two things like energy and the Shiva, and the void and the energy. It's just the whole same thing. When you reach at the peak of the energy, you experience the void. And when that void wants to express itself, it is energy. It is just one and the same thing. So this perspective especially I found solace in Kashmir Saivism, where they say never to negate the world, to bring in the world as it is, and see that the world itself is Shiva, is the highest state. So this is what the perspective, where you can even enjoy the world, be in the world, but keep in this perspective that whatever is happening is the self itself is being conducted by self itself, it is being driven by self, and whatever is happening is also the self. So there is nothing but the self. So if you live with this perspective, anything you do will not matter, and you will always be with the self as the self.